all, here we go with the practical hands-on tool of pivot table, wherein we are going to start to practically experience how a pivot table is created. This is your data set in Microsoft Excel. I have actually minimized my ribbons. I'll just make it normal. Yeah, so here are my ribbons present. So this is a data set. We have order ID, date, time, region, product category, product name, units sold, and sales amount. This is my typical sales data set. And then I have a few questions in the right. If you could see, 4 basic level, 4 intermediate level, and 4 advanced level questions, which we will try to perform using pivot table right here. Let's start. So the pivot table is available actually in the insert tab. If you go to insert tab here, the first option that we have is pivot table. Just click on the top. Don't click an arrow button. Right away go and click onto the top center of pivot table. The moment you click, you see a window that's available here. You can see a dialog box where it will ask you the range of the data set here. By default, the entire table would be selected. I have 1000 records in this data set. You could see at the bottom, the entire 1000 records have been selected. If at all I would like to reduce the selection, modify the selection, I can always go and do it here as per my choice. But at the moment, I wanted my entire data to be a part of the selection, and I'll keep it. Now you see the next question, choose where you want the pivot table to be placed. Either you can choose to create your pivot table in the new sheet, or you could choose to create a pivot table in the existing sheet. But for me, I wanted that to happen in a new sheet. So I'll just go click on new sheet. Is by default actually. I'll just go click and then click on OK. The moment you do that, you see that the blank pivot table, this is an environment where the blank pivot table window is visible, and you see the 4 grid that we have seen in the previous video. There are 4 grids. The top, the fields that you have in the Microsoft Excel table data set, these are the fields that we had in the data. These fields can be seen. On the bottom side, you have 4 grid, filter, column, rows, and values. So let me quickly take you through each and every questions and try to solve this without any delay. So what are the questions we have? Yeah, what is the first question here? What is the total sales? So these are my questions. We will just get into the first one. What is the total sales amount? So usually if you see here, values has been given a summation symbol, which means it sums up something. So anything that can be summed up. Usually you cannot sum up any characters, you cannot sum up any words. You could always do it with value based fields. Here in this entire data set, what are the numerical fields? One, you have units sold, and second, you have sales amount. These are the 2 value fields. Usually these numerical fields can be used in the value category, the value grid ideally. So what is the actual question come back? What is the total sales amount? So we are trying to understand sales amount, the entire sales amount in the data set to be summed up, and that should be present. So it's a simple thing. Just drag the sales amount and keep it under value. You see the sum of total sales amount is 58,61,260. That's it. It is as simple as it is. You just drag and drop. It is entirely summed up. Now this is sum by default. If I want to see how many transactions happened, how many records we had, there were 1000 records, which means there must be 1000 transactions. Let's say instead of summing up of these, I'll just go to value. I'll click on this arrow. I'll go to value feed settings. By default, it is sum here. I'll just go and say count. The moment I give count, what will happen? It is showing 1000. Why it is showing 1000? Because my data set has got 1000 records, which means 1000 sales transactions. And these 1000 sales transactions had a different sales value, and this sales value, if I sum up all the transactions, I'll get this value. If you would like to know average of these sales transactions, which means total sum of the revenue divided by total number of transactions, ideally you need to take average. Just go click on average. You see an average transaction value is 5861.26. So that way it doesn't only perform a single sum transaction, it has got multiple mathematical operations that you can perform right from sum, count, average, maximum, minimum, product, all of that, standard deviation, variance, all of that values you can do. And you can even decide how you wanted the values to be shown, whether you wanted the value to be shown in terms of count, number, date, region, or if you wanted in terms of percentages, all of that you can decide to do. Cancel. So the first question is done. Now let me go to the second question here. How many units sold in each product category? Remember, there are two variables here. One column is product category, second column is units sold. So here I'll remove this now. Now we have two units to be looked at, product category and units sold. Units sold is blindly a number. So all the numerical values by default go to value field. So here by default the total number of products sold, units sold are 9,785. But our question is not the total units sold. Our question is how many units sold in each product category. So product category wise. Now you have to visualize. How do you wanted this table to be? Like category 1, 2, 3 in the left hand side, and opposite to that you have to show category 1 how many say units sold, category 2 how many units sold, and category 3 how many units sold. You wanted them in the form of rows or you wanted them in the form of columns. It works both ways. Let's quickly, ideally it should be in the form of rows. We will just put in the form of rows first, and then we will see how it looks if it is in the form of columns. Say product category, I'll drop in the rows. Now you see three product categories are here. You see three product categories are here, wherein clothing has got these many units sold, electronics has got these many units sold, furniture has got these many units sold. The same thing if I put in the form of columns instead of rows, I'll drop it in the columns. The same data comes like, it will be like this. But it is easy always that we put in the form of rows, so that visibility and understanding of the data becomes much easier. I wish you accept to it. So that's your second question, right? Then what is my third? So now let me remove these two. Now I'll make the fields blank. So my table is empty now at the moment. Now I'll go to my third question. What is the total sales by region? Now here again we have got two variables here. One is region, another is total sales. Total sales means it's sales revenue. It's not units sold. So we have two columns, region and sales revenue. Now again try to understand which is a numerical value. Sales amount is a numerical value. Drag and drop it in the variable. See, if I click on this, it by default goes to the value because it's a nature. So pivot table understand it's a numerical value and it has to actually go to value grid. Now what is my other variable? My other variable is total sales by region. So my other variable is region. Click on region, it by default comes to row because pivot table understands. And if you don't want it in the row, you can always go and drop it in the column. That's your choice. But ideally it should be region. So region wise sales amount is this. That's your third question. Then the last question in the basic questions category, what is the total sales by month? Yes. Now you have to remove both. So first you have to go sales. What is the question? Sales revenue by month. So again the sales amount has to go to the values and I need month actually. So do I have month here? I don't see month having here. So what I have to do, but I have date, Wait, I'm sorry. I have a date. I'll click on date. By default it is showing in the columns, but I don't want them in the column. I want all of them in rows. Okay. So what's the question? What exactly is the question? The question is total sales by month. I only need month. Here I've got year. So let me remove year. Let me remove quarter. And let me remove date. So I only have one. So month wise sales are here. So this is what we want. That's your question number 4. I'll tell it this pivot tables have come twice here. Okay. I have my one more pivot table. So first basic questions are solved. Now I'll go to the intermediate questions. Which product has the highest sales amount? Simple. Just go back. Sales amount and product category, that's what we need. So click sales amount to the values, product category or product name, what is that they want, which product. So product name, that I need product name, I'll put it in the rows. This is my data. Now you can manually go and check which value has got the biggest number. So ideally it is sofa because it's 22 lakhs 6,000 is a revenue. But then if you really want it to be sorted in the form like the highest revenue should be on the top, you can always go click here. You can say label filters. So it's actually a sort. Give a right click here, or you just go here, more sort options. So you need descending order because if we want the top value to be on the top, so by which category, sum of sales amount. Click on this and you see the sofa comes on the top. That way you can even perform sorting ascending or descending, both of them. So that way we have completed the first question from the mediocre level questions. Then the next, find the average units sold per product category. Average number of units sold. So first we have to go units sold and product category. So I'll bring units sold here and I'll bring product category here. So this is sum of units sold, but we actually wanted average. So I'll just go click here, change in the value settings, click on average, click on OK. So the average units sold per clothing is 9.896. For electronics it is 9.895, and for furniture it is 9.5.5. So that way clothing and electronics are mostly similar. So on an average, under each category, the average number of units sold is around 9 to 10. Perfect. So this question is complete. So I'll remove these options out here. I'll go to the third question. What are the monthly trends for electronics? Pretty interesting. Now that they're asking electronics is a product category, I'll just go monthly trends in terms of either you can choose to predict in terms of units sold, or you can do it in terms of sales. Usually it should be sales revenue, so just put in sales here. Now product category, you want it here, product category. What was the question, to be precise? Monthly trend. So I actually need I'll remove the product. I need monthly sales, which means I need to put in date. I'll bring the date here. So as it was for month, I'll remove the field of year, I'll remove the quarters, and I'll remove year. Now if at all I have to make a trend, I have the data available here. I just need to have a monthly trend line. This is for monthly sales. There is no trend line yet. We'll make the trend line for sure. At the moment, what is expected is this monthly sales revenue generated. But what was the question is monthly sales for electronics product. So what we have to do, I need only electronics. But if I bring in product category, I'll get all the products, but I need only one among this, which means I need to filter only one. So you have to drop it and put it in filters because there is a requirement of filters. The moment you do, you see product categories there under filters. Go here, select multiple things, remove all options and put only electronics. So now you see the sales that are showing only in electronics. Now you need to create a trend line, select the data, go to insert, go to a line chart and select any of the line chart. This is where your trend comparison can be seen. Now if here also, even in the chart, if you see any modifications that you do to the chart, your data in the Excel gets updated. I'll just take the chart little side. See here, instead of electronics, I'll change to clothing here. And you see in the Excel table, in the pivot table, the values will change. Yes, the values are changing. Now I'll make it furniture, adding to it. It changes. I'll go back, and now as it is only for electronics as per the question, I'll go select electronics and it is done. This is with respect to sales amount because we have only taken sales amount. And if you really wanted here to change any months being specific, you can even select the months also. That's how the trend chart can be created in pivot table. So I think this question is complete. Now we'll drop down these options back to the list and I have my empty chart. I'll remove it. I have my empty pivot table. What is my next question? Show a comparison of sales. Sales means sales revenue in north and south regions for product category. So here we have three things: sales, region, product category. Let's start with first sales. Any which way sales revenue will drag and drop in values. Yeah, this is the entire sales value. Now what I want, comparison between north and south and per category. So I'll just use category. I'll bring category and put it in rows. Now I have got category wise data. By default there are filters applied, so I'll remove the filters and I'll make it all categories. Sales amount is here. What else? Comparison between north and south. It's a region, so I'll bring region and I'll drop in the cloud columns because I want to compare. Now when I could see all the regions, but I don't want all the regions. So what I'll do, I'll go to the column filters. Here I'll only need north and south, so I'll remove east and west. Okay, now you see this difference between north data and south data. Revenues are there. Even this, if you would like to visualize in the form of a chart, select the specific data, insert. Here we need to go for a bar chart. Now you can see category wise comparison between north and south. This clearly says you in terms of clothing and electronic products, the sales are good with south compared to north, whereas in terms of furniture, the purchase of furnitures are very much in north as compared to south. So that's what this evident. This can be evident even in the form of table also, in the form of chart also, but it's pretty easy if you would like to visualize and understand the data. So I'll remove the chart for now and I'll throw back my columns into the sets, the field set. Yes, that was 4 questions. Now coming to the last 4 advanced questions. Use filters to show sales for a specific quarter. Pretty easy. You just need to go sales revenue, you bring in first. Now they need sales per quarter. I'll just bring the quarters and drop it here. Now I have got sales for all the quarters, but they wanted to be specific to one particular quarter. Assume that I would like to show it for quarter number 3. I'll click on quarter number 3 here. So that's the sales for quarter 3. If I want the sales of quarter 2, I'll go select this and I've got sales for quarter 2. So that's how it is. Amazing, right? Yep. Then we'll go to the second question. Show the sales distribution with percentages instead of raw numbers. So the sales they wanted in terms of percentages. Now they're only speaking about one variable sales here. They did not mention the other variable. So now what you can do, you can choose any of the variables as per your choice here. You can make an assumption. Now let's say I'll put a sales amount. This is a sales amount, which is sales of all the products sold in 1000 transactions. Now if I wanted to split the sales in terms of product category or product name, it's or product region, I'll put region for now. So now north side, I think there are filters applied, so only 2 regions are visible. I'll unfilter it and I've got 4 regions. Now here we have sales per region, but what was the requirement? It is they wanted the sales to be put in the form of percentages. That's what they want. So we know it. We just go maybe more sort of options. No, not the sort of options. Sorry. You go here, field settings. If you go, these are the options that we have done. Layout and print. Okay, no, not this. I'm sorry. So the field settings have to be taken from the values grid here. Ideally, you'll just go here, value field settings. Here you have show value as. Here show value as. You have to make it percentage of grand total. Yep. Now click on it. Okay. Now you see that the entire values are converted in terms of percentage. The contribution is high in east, and then good with north, and then third position it is south. West, the contribution is pretty less as per the data set. So that's how you could convert the values in terms of percentages. Then we have the third question. Group months to see quarterly sales performance. So we need to understand the sales performance, put sales amount. Then they wanted months to quarters. That's what they wanted to group. As of now, we have data in terms of months. Now they wanted us to group it in the form of quarters. Give a right click here. There is an option called group. Then here, instead of quarters and all, yeah, instead of months, years, you remove and only select quarters. Click on OK. Now you see the data is got into quarters. They just have grouped it, nothing else that they have done. Now if you really wanted to show under each quarter what months are taken up, what you can actually do, go to the group here, select months as well, then it will show you the proper grouping. Under quarter 1 you have got Jan, Feb, March. Under quarter 2 you have April, May, June, like this. This is how the grouping is. When you say grouping, you get a minus symbol. Click on minus symbol, that groups get closed, and you will actually get plus symbols here. So it's like a tree like structure. So you can group and click on plus, it gets ungrouped. So that way the grouping and ungrouping can be, then the table gets expanded. All right. And here we go for the last question. Add calculated fields to find revenue per unit. So to calculate revenue per unit, first you need sales amount and units sold to be put in for each product. So revenue per unit per each product category, that's what the question is going to be. So we'll remove the first element that we have. So we need to have sales amount in the column and units sold in the column and product name on the rows. I'm sorry, wait. Something going on here. So these are numerical values, I'm sorry. Yeah. So we have this two here. So now you see, product wise, sum of sales amount and sum of unit sales, units sold we have. Now ideally, what is the way that you calculate per unit? You can manually go here, equals to total amount sold divided by units sold. That is your average. That's what you generally do in terms, right? Okay, but here the problem is it is taking sum of units sold. We should actually take, now yeah, it is sum of units sold, ideally yes. But what was the exact question that you wanted? I'll calculate fields by sales amount by unit sold. That we need to do part of a pivot table, not separately. So for this, what you have to do,